Hello, my name is Tamsin Todd. I'm the CEO of Findmypast, and I'm here to represent.
Please, can you explain in 2 or 3 sentences what you do day to day?
My role as a CEO is really diverse. Some days, like at the start of the working week, are really operational. I'm getting into the business data from the past week. I'm looking at how our releases are doing. I'm setting weekly priorities. Other days, I'm looking at product strategy. I'm meeting key partners or working on researching or resourcing or investment plans. So it's a very diverse role.
Please, can you tell us about your early career and how it got you to where you are today?
I was really lucky to work with Amazon in its early days, and one of the roles I did there was building Amazon's first personalization engine, where we were able to take the data that Amazon had about customers and about how they behaved and the things they bought and the things that they were looking at, and start making really personalized recommendations into the next thing to look at, the next thing to consider buying. And that was really exciting because it hadn't been done before, and it was my first role as a product person, working really hand in hand with a technology team and a data team to make that personalization experience work really well for customers.
Findmypast is a technology company helping people trace back their ancestry. Can you tell us about the technology that is involved in that process? What are your technology teams working on?
So at Findmypast, we connect people to their family stories, and we do that by building consumer software. We have an amazing amount of historical data from family trees that people build, from historical records, from newspapers. We have over 50 million newspapers in our archives and over 14 billion genealogical records. And we build technology and software that helps people access all of that to tell the stories of their family. So we're working on being able to search it. We're working on connecting all that data up so that we can send one of our customers hints about the best thing to do next, about where to find your family history, your family stories.
Findmypast has some fantastic hiring practices, and you are very open to candidates who haven't been through higher education. Why is that?
One of the things that we've done is actually remove so hard educational requirements, amount of time sort of knowing a certain kind of software. We've looked at the language, the gendered language in our job descriptions. We've made sure that we have very diverse panels interviewing candidates, and that we use very structured interviews so that they're as fair as they can be. And with all those things, what we're trying to do is just make sure we get the best pool of candidates, which is going to be a diverse set of candidates who can bring their ideas and their perspectives into the company, and therefore make us the strongest company it can be.
What strategies can be used to empower staff and encourage upskilling?
At Findmypast, learning is really encapsulated in our core values and our behaviours. And one of our values is be curious. And sometimes I think in companies, it's unclear how you can get learning experiences. So we've tried to make it really clear. Everyone in the company has 1 hour a day of learning time that they can use in consultation with their managers to work on a learning plan. It might be to develop a new skill. It might be learning a new technology. We have a subscription to LinkedIn Learning that people can use. There are also plenty of opportunities internally, like on-the-job training, like our Lunch and Learn talks, where you can go and learn from a different part of the business in depth about what they're doing. We also bring in external speakers. And beyond that, there is a per-person learning budget that can be requested as well. We have a clear progression framework, so everyone knows what level they're at. what areas they need to develop to get to the next level. So that really helps managers and individuals to work on that learning plan and make it really relevant and impactful.
You are part of a leadership team that is 60% female. How have you achieved this at Findmypast?
With my leadership team, as you say, it's 60% female. We try really hard to address some of the constraints or barriers that women have getting through the organization. We try to be role models. We talk about our experiences. We talk about what's hard, because all of us have had different hard challenges along the way. One of the things that we're super aware of is that because women don't necessarily look to women or to men like business leaders, like tech leaders, because of what we're accustomed to, they sometimes are judged harder when they come into roles that don't match the gender that's kind of traditional. And this happens, by the way, for men as well. So like men in nursing roles also get judged harder because nursing roles are traditionally associated with women. So we're very, very aware of that. So some of the things that we do in the company is we look really hard at our data by gender split. So how are women progressing through the company? How are women sharing meetings? How are women taking on to leadership projects? Are women progressing at the same rate as men? To really make sure that we're identifying and removing any constraints for women along the way. When women leave, are they leaving because they haven't progressed, or, and this is something to celebrate, are they leaving because they've progressed 2 or 3 roles up and now they're ready for the next challenge somewhere else? And then we really celebrate that, because that's really fantastic career progression.
45% of our community are career switchers. What advice would you give women wanting to make a career switch to tech with no previous tech experience?
So as someone who made the switch into tech, so I moved from journalism and a stint in the finance sector into tech at the very beginning of my career. So one of the things that I would advise is to go in with a mindset that you're going to learn a lot. And as part of that, give yourself permission to not be perfect because you're learning. The other thing I would advise is to look for a company that has a really clear progression system. For me, it really helped me that Amazon had a transparent progression framework and performance review system. So I was able to show what I'd done, and also to reassure myself of how much I was learning and progressing along the way. At Findmypast, we've put in place a progression framework for all those same reasons.
What advice would you give women trying to balance family commitments and a career in tech?
So I'm a parent, I'm a spouse, I have children, I have dogs. I did my MBA while working full time and having a baby during those 3 years. So what I would say is don't go in to careers expecting sort of steady equilibrium all the time. Over time, balance on average is achievable, but there are a lot of ups and downs.
What advice would you give any woman wanting to find a mentor?
What I'd really advise people to do is to think about the problem first. Start with the problem that they want advice on. Look for someone who has experience, and then take it in small steps. Ask for that coffee, talk about that problem. For a mentor who, like everyone, is really busy, that's much more digestible than if someone comes and says, hey, will you be my mentor for the next 3 years? Which doesn't have much shape to it. So start with the problem, have a very focused conversation in the first instance.
What can employers do to alleviate imposter syndrome amongst new staff?
We've talked about imposter syndrome. I've talked about it in company meetings. One of our core behaviors in the company is we fall down. We get knocked down, but we get up again, right? So we know that when we're learning things and we're growing, sometimes there will be things that don't go as well as we want, and that's okay, right? So and I try and celebrate those moments when we do something doesn't go as well, and we learn, but we then change how we do things, right? And we learn from it, and those are really, really good moments in our company. And the other thing we try to do is to really de-jargonize our work. So especially as people are starting, they get invited to product use sessions. We call them back to basics, where everyone in the company participates in solving genealogy problems. Not everyone, most of our new starters haven't worked in genealogy or with the technology. So we solve problems together. Everyone's in there, from new starters to really experienced people. Everyone can ask any question. We de-jargonize things. Everyone's on the same playing field. So just trying to make it really not scary and okay to ask all those questions that we all have when we start a new job.
According to your D&I report at Findmypast, 91% of your employees feel included. How do you ensure your tech team fosters a culture of inclusivity?
Well, we do a number of things, particularly when new employees are starting. We'd give a lot of attention to their onboarding experience. We pair new employees through our buddy system with other employees in different departments or more senior employees to help them get the feel of the place and learn the ropes. Our managers set clear objectives for the onboarding period and provide feedback so that new joiners develop and kind of know how they're doing. There's a very live conversation around that to give people confidence. There are mentors within our engineering teams who help managers with skills and supporting new joiners. I know that on one of our teams, they keep a Zoom room kind of open all the time so that new joiners can kind of jump in there and ask any tech questions that they need answered. I'm just trying to make that really frictionless and easy and expected. And then across the broader company, we have a number of diversity and inclusion initiatives that many people get involved with, whether that's celebrating a community whose historical records we're publishing as a company, a community whose stories haven't been told, or whether it's giving more support for mental health within the company through an app, through training people on mental health first aid.
Is there anything that has surprised you about being a CEO?
One of the things that I've experienced, and I hear from many others, especially coming from a product tech background, is that you're a little less close to the product and tech every day, right? You're thinking very strategically and putting together the plans, and someone with a background of really loving the ins and outs of the of the tech and the product we're building, that was definitely a step and a change. And some people therefore decide, no, I really want to be a leader in the specific area. I working in engineering, in product, in marketing, because actually that closeness is what I want. So, I would say it's useful to kind of know yourself as you do go further in the career and what you get your energy from.
Advice for your younger self?
I think for me, it would be to be brave. When I think about myself early in my career, I felt this real pressure to have the perfect career. And what I maybe didn't see was that under the hood, all careers are loopy, all careers, have ins and outs and are complicated. And I think if I'd known that, I would have been braver about taking a role or a job in an area I didn't know anything about, taking on new challenges. And, we're going to work for decades, right? So taking advantage of those moments to explore and to learn both what we like and what we're good at, we want to do that because we're going to be doing these things for a long time.